Hillary Clinton would be, without a doubt, hands down, the absolute best CEO of a public company. Ruthless, profit-driven, and all about the money. But if you're looking for a different kind of CEO, one to run the greatest nation on earth and bring back America, now teetering on the brink of socialism, to be president of the United States, Hillary Clinton is the worst possible choice. She, in fact, is the person to run away from. And what makes you think she cares about you? She doesn't care about you. This woman only cares about herself, money, her next step up the political ladder, and if president, will only care about her legacy. And if you don't see that from events of this past week, then you are exactly the kind of tuned-out voter that Hillary is hoping to turn out in droves in 2016. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about influence peddling on a global scale and the setting of American foreign policy to coincide with the flow of hundreds of millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation and millions directly to Bill Clinton and ultimately Hillary in speaking fees. Exhibit 1. Bill takes a plane ride to Kazakhstan with a Canadian who wants to buy uranium. Now, the president of Kazakhstan is a human rights violator. But Bill actually praises his human rights record and then expresses support for that president to lead an international elections monitoring group. Crazy, because that Kazakh president is accused of rigging his own elections. But back to the deal. Now, Kazakhstan approves the sale of uranium to Bill's flying buddy. And months later, the Clinton Foundation gets a $31.3 million donation from the Canadian, which was a secret and not disclosed by the Clintons until the Canadian government outed it. Now, the Canadian wants to sell his uranium business to Russia. Enter the Clintons. The State Department approval is needed and granted. Bill gets a $500,000 speaking fee, and Russia now controls 20% of the U.S. uranium production, a national strategic asset. That very same Russian company, Uranium One, made a $2.35 million contribution to the Clinton Foundation, not disclosed by the Clintons. Now, Hillary has always been against foreign governments controlling U.S. strategic assets like ports.
We believe that no foreign government should control our ports.
But Hillary has a change of heart after huge amounts of cash, both reported and unreported, flow into the Clinton Foundation. Russia, the same country that sends uranium to Iran, which aspires to build its own nuclear weapon, now controls a great deal of American uranium. Exhibit 2. A guy named Pinchuk manufactures steel pipes in the Ukraine. He and Bill become fast friends. His company does business with Iran, violating U.S. trade sanctions. Hillary is Secretary of State, and her department is tasked with holding foreign companies responsible for violating sanctions. The Clinton Foundation receives millions of dollars from the Pinchuk Foundation with a pledge to give another $20 million more. And shocker, the State Department never sanctions Pinchuk for any violations. Exhibit 3, a tragic earthquake in Haiti. 316,000 people die. Hillary there within days, as is Bill. As people dig bodies out of buildings, Bill promoting a wireless phone system for Haiti. His good friend Dennis O'Brien, a man of virtually no digital experience, receives a grant to create that very system. And a man previously unknown to Haiti is now the biggest player in mobile phones in that country. Now, folks, there's no question that Bill Clinton's speaking fees tripled and quadrupled when Hillary was Secretary of State, while the contributors who stood to profit from Hillary's influence at the State Department employed Bill. Historically, Prosecutors have looked for quid pro quos from politicians when they deliver to constituents or contributors. Politicians doing business for themselves and lining their own pockets is the essence of public corruption. Not only were contributions to the foundation and speaking fees to Bill made, but in many of these deals, both Hillary and Bill were in the subject foreign country at the same time, wheeling and dealing. She wielding American diplomacy, and he receiving speaking fees of $500,000 to $750,000, and their foundation, the huge beneficiary of hundreds of millions of dollars, some reported and some not. You know, prosecutors have convicted politicians for things as simple as a free cab ride in exchange for favors. Anything from bribery, conspiracy, corruption, a violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Whenever an American government official accepts gifts intended to curry favor, he crosses the line. Now, Bill and Hillary, if you'll remember, started with nothing. Bill is now the wealthiest ex-president in the United States. Might it be because Hillary greased the skids, after which Bill accepted massive gratuities? Many think we may never know because she refuses to give up that private email server. And therefore, there's no smoking gun. But I have news for you, folks. A jury can infer guilt from benefits received and subsequent favorable treatment. And FBI Director Jim Comey, a former United States attorney, knows this. He knows what needs to be done. He simply needs to follow the money. Audits of Bill's tax returns, Hillary's tax returns, joint returns. And they're already refiling 5 years of tax returns for their foundation. Now, most people I know who refile tax returns get indicted and go to jail. How do you go from dead broke to filthy rich? Why would you not recuse yourself as Secretary of State when there is a conflict of interest or even the appearance of one? You know, Hillary Clinton's life has always been about the money. From Whitewater to cattle futures to leaving the White House with whatever china she could take. As a prosecutor, I can tell you it's always about money or women, and the Clintons have both. And when I hear things like, oh, everybody does it, my back goes up. I am tired of people defining political deviancy down because it's being committed by a member of their party. And my back goes up when I hear that Russia, because of the Clintons, now controls a great deal of America's uranium. You know, there is a name for people who are willing to sell out their country for cash. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter at Judge Janine.
A special order Tuesday night on Capitol Hill with several Freedom Caucus members now demanding Hillary Clinton be investigated.
Yeah, why not? Millions of dollars to Fusion GPS. Republican Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is vice chair of the House Freedom Caucus and joins us right now. Congressman, what intrigues you? Why now jump in? What makes you think this is where the rubber hits the road?
I mean, think about what we've recently learned. The DNC and the Clinton campaign were paying Fusion GPS for the dossier. The author of the dossier was on the FBI's payroll. At least that's been reported that Christopher Steele was reimbursed by the FBI. Now, was that for the dossier or for something else? We don't know, but he was on the FBI payroll during this time period. The dossier was likely the basis for the FISA court order to spy on Americans associated with the Trump campaign. And then, of course, we have what Catherine Herridge with Fox just reported a couple days ago, the idea that the Fusion GPS founder, Glenn Simpson, was hanging out with the Russian lawyer who met with Donald Trump Jr. in New York. He was hanging out with her the day before and the day after the meeting. So all that, I think, cries out for, we better look into this situation and everything else associated with it.
Okay, so you're calling for the Attorney General to appoint a special counsel. Do you not trust Robert Mueller?
Well, we call for the Attorney General to look into Clinton, Comey, Lynch, Fusion GPS, uranium, all this. 3.5 months ago, we called for this. So, of course, this needs to happen. Robert Mueller, I think, in light of what we've also recently learned, relative to the Uranium One deal surely seems a bit compromised to me. When he was the guy doing the investigation during the Uranium One deal where we learned about kickbacks and extortion and bribery, and he doesn't tell Congress, he doesn't tell the country, and he doesn't tell the committee responsible for deciding whether that deal can go forward or not, I think that puts him in a somewhat precarious position. So I think that needs to be looked in as well. But our point is, look into all this, and the best thing to do would be for Jeff Sessions to name a special counsel, something 20 House Republican members of the Judiciary Committee asked for 3.5 months ago.
What is Jeff Sessions doing, number one? Number one, we have this terrorist downtown. We put him to the court system. He was crazy about that when he was a senator. We don't know what he's doing in this investigation. All we have is a bunch of people who recuse themselves as soon as something needs to be unwound.
Well, he's going to get an earful of questions next week when he comes and testifies in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Mr. Rosenstein is supposed to be in front of the House Judiciary Committee some point later. They're going to get a lot of questions. But look, 3.5 months ago, we sent the letter asking for a special counsel. September 28th, 5 of us went over and met with him and said, what are you doing? What we've got so far from the Justice Department is nothing but silence.
Sure. You know, Congressman, I think that a lot of people think that when James Comey essentially let Hillary Clinton off the hook and, you know, didn't suggest that charges should be brought against her, people thought, okay, she is not in any legal peril going forward. But you're here today to tell us that's not the case.
Well, we'll see, but we should investigate. I mean, think about all the stuff that went on in 2016. I mean, I always ask the why question. Well, why would Loretta Lynch tell James Comey to call the Clinton investigation a matter, not an investigation? Last time I checked, James Comey wasn't director of the Federal Bureau of Matters. Why would Loretta Lynch meet just one day before the Benghazi report comes out, 5 days before Secretary Clinton's scheduled to be interviewed? Why would she meet with Bill Clinton on the tarmac in Phoenix? And then why in the days after, when she's communicating about that meeting, why would she not use her real name? Instead, use the name Elizabeth Carlisle. If you're just talking about grandkids and golf, you can probably use your real name. So you got all these questions from 2016, plus what we've just learned. If this doesn't cry out for a special counsel, if this doesn't cry out for more investigations from the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee, I don't know what does, and that's what we're doing.
20 seconds left. What cost $10 million? Why did Chris Steele get $10 million from the DNC and Hillary Clinton, and we know it was the same account after Donna Brazil's book?
I do not know, but again, underscoring why we need to investigate, why we need to get answers for the American people to these critical questions, because they're tired of the double standard. One set of rules for us regular folk, but a different set if your name is Clinton, Comey, Lynch. They're tired of that, so let's get this done.
All right. Well, let's see whether or not the Department of Justice and the Attorney General is listening to you, Jim Jordan of Ohio. Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.